Good morning. All right, living with the benefits of healing your trauma. That's what this business is. That's my business, and that's what I help people do. I guide them into learning how to heal their own trauma. Yes, I am characteristically un undressed, but that's okay. Nice and early morning. I've already been outside, been drinking some of my coffee. I sat there until the crows came and started to get loud. Apparently, there's a young'un around here because they come and they like to. "Wah, wah, wah." I don't know if they're trying to scare me or alert others, but oh man, what a morning! It was so beautiful, and the smell was amazing. And guess what? That's possibly all a part of. Um, oh, guess what we're going to do here? Cool. So, when it comes to spiritual benefits, I came from not only a Buddhist background, but a uh, evangelical charismatic. In fact, I was part of the nascent movement that is now composed of the people that surround the current president of the United States. And a lot of that, if you read the history of that stuff, they call that the New Apostolic Reformation. I was being trained in an apostolic church to start churches. That was back in the late. I sort of moved into it. I started an independent church. Blah blah blah. Anyway, so I had all of this stuff that I had to deconstruct and I've got other videos, otherwise about my experiences with the church and so forth and so on, and then deconstructing my faith, deconstructing the Bible, and what does that open up? I've done videos on that as well. And so I'm in a position right now that I call questing. And this is kind of cool. I think this. Okay, change the layout. This is kind of where I'm at. And you know what? I remember when just remembering this now, there was a guy. Oh, I can't even remember his name. He ended up with a place in Pennsylvania, but he had a little center there in Mount Prospect, Illinois. And I want to say Swami Rama, but I don't know how true that is. In any event, he interesting experiences with him, and everybody, of course, wearing the devotees, which were Americans, were walking around in orange robes and all this kind of thing, and probably eating vegetarian and blah blah blah. And George and I, a friend of mine, went a couple of times, and I would go in my Grateful Dead T-shirt, brought to you by, and my patched jeans, which were my pride and joy. So, and I said to George once, I said, what I want is for a spirituality that can approach me and accept me and let me be in my Grateful Dead T-shirt and patched bell-bottom blue jeans. Don't want to put on a uniform because it's all about in here. And the thing about when you start to have doctrines and when you start to have rules and regulations and commandments, now we're talking about rigidity, a non-living rigidity, not organic. Okay, cool. And had to go through years and years of stuff to come to this place now I call questing. The various things that I can look at, and your list could be entirely different, but you have the freedom to do so. A church could not exist with this understanding because they have their doctrines. And this brings into question existential stuff, and I've got a definition for spirituality, all spiritual intelligence or resilience, as I call it. Excuse me. And all of that is good stuff. And it's getting to a place of being there, but having this freedom to look at things and then having the freedom to make the choice for myself of what I'm going to believe or not believe is very, very freeing. And because of that, that is part of the work that we do, not at the beginning of trauma healing, because imagine what this involves. Deconstructing is emotional and cognitively challenging. What do you think that requires? A little bit of resilience along the way to make this a reality. And so when I sit outside in the morning and I can smell, oh, good morning, Wilhelmina. When I can sit outside in the morning and have these memories because of what I smell, yeah, and then I start to go back to this whole Gaian thing, and I really am just one big whole part of the overall scheme of things here, just a small part as humankind is. And then we have this vast universe that can be overwhelming when we think about it, and it's just part of the universe we can see. That, you know, that great googly moogly, as Frank Zappa would say, having this freedom here to choose what we want to believe in, which could change because as you develop more cognitive stuff, you can maybe deconstruct what it was you chose and realize, okay, it doesn't quite fit what I know cognitively now, and or my awareness might have changed, might have expanded. Part of me, because I think of, for example, eating food, I think of local, I think of organic and single ingredient as much as possible. My spirituality then would be local, which would be, in effect, my earth, the earth I'm standing on. Oh, okay, I might have some. Anyway, it's here. It's not out there. It's in here. It's not out there. So if you look at the ingredients of spiritual, and I don't know if I have that particular slide up here or not. Da, 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 da. That's, there it is. These are just some of the things, some of the ingredients I think that go along with. And yes, if you think those two scenes look similar, they are. Not the same place, same side of the island that I live on. But these are some of the things that go into what I call spiritual resilience. And it's not just having a doctrine or a set of practices. Look at these. All right. Talk about values and ethics, the flow of interconnectedness, inspiration, awe. These kinds of things are aspects, some of the ingredients of a healthy spirituality. And then we might want to consider looking at spirituality in itself, because I know that could be a term that could upset people. So we have a definition of that. We can look at that and say, okay, maybe mind and spirit and consciousness are all the same. See, these are still questions that humans have no definitive answer for. They might think they do, but then that becomes a doctrine. Yes, indeed it is. Everything is connected. And you might see here that what I listed here, energy, feelings, perceptions, intuitions, senses, cognitions, memories, desires, and imaginations, are all human experiences, all of them. And if we've healed our trauma, these become even more, what's the word I want to, They become larger. They become more a part of your life. And I say dynamic, embodied, when these things move into that, when I begin to experience them and can integrate them, then I start to sense and feel that consciousness, spirit, and mind might all be, we say mind, body. That's not brain body connection. The brain is part of the body. It's the bigger part, right? All of these things that we have thoughts on, we have books on, but and we may never get a definitive answer, right? This is just my experience. Maybe this all these the energy, feelings, perceptions, all of that stuff combined is my spirit, is my mind, is my consciousness. Those are things to consider while we are pursuing this, but this takes some freedom to existentially challenge what we've believed for a long time, because there's all kinds of things we could consider. The Buddhist would use the word mind. The Christian would say spirit, soul, and body. And that's actually body not good, spirit good, soul, I don't know what the hell they mean by that. But there's, how do you define those? And where is the authoritative source that says this is definitive? And see the questions, see the issues we have here. And that is why it takes a lot of resilience that you already have in your body and your nervous system to begin to tackle questions like this. But it is amazingly free. Oh, it is. It's delicious to have these kinds of conversations with people who are in the same shoes and have the same experiences. So, when I say I've created these kinds of things, it's because of this, and maybe alchemic is not, it's probably a good word, because I am not, if you want to see who my mentors are, there's a page on my website. I can't even think of it right now. There's a page on the information that informed us. All right. Information that informed us. And I have studies on there that I've posted, the books, the trainings, all that kind of stuff. And all of these things are how, and the people who wrote these things are how and why I have come up with all of these definitions that I have, which would include this one, and this one. Actually, this is my experience. And it takes some, not only does it take freedom, it takes some courage to look at yourself and say, maybe what I'm believing is not beneficial to me anymore, and or flat out wrong, harmful. That takes real guts. That takes courage that a lot of people do not have. And that's born out of the resilience of that you can build. That's why I teach what I teach. But these are some of the benefits. This is just one of them. I've got a few other videos I've done. Try to look at the other ones, and I will be hitting on one more actually. Anyway, the spiritual aspect. This is one of the benefits, being able to live in that place as an integrated human being. It's quite good. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later. Bye.